Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today I want to talk about why the world is raising the loneliest generation probably in the history of humanity. Now, some numbers are in from some research here in America, and quite frankly, I think this is absolutely fascinating and a little troubling, for a lot of people. Now, new research from YouGov has basically uncovered that millennials are the loneliest generation on the planet today, despite the fact that we are constantly connected to each other online. And I will get to that in a little bit. Now, this study basically spoke to over 1,200 adults aged 18 and over in the United States and found that, quite frankly, we're pretty isolated. 30% of millennials surveyed said that they oftentimes felt very lonely compared to just 15% of baby boomers and 20% of Gen X. 25% of millennials don't have a single friend. Not an acquaintance, not a friend. 22% say they have no close friends, and 30% say they have no best friends as well. Those are staggering numbers compared to the other generations that clocked in a lot lower than that. Now, the research also delved in basically to the reasoning behind this situation. Now, respondents talked about the difficulties they face making friends, ranging from, let's say, shyness, which, there are introverts in the world, that's totally fine, to a lack of hobbies and interests that can facilitate friendship. But also, if you think about it, one of the places that people oftentimes make friends is with coworkers, and in a gig economy, quite frankly, we don't really have that luxury. If you're driving for DoorDash, it's not like you're exactly, sitting around a water cooler, or if you're working remotely from home over and over and over, and, let's say you're single or something like that, that could potentially be an issue as well. Now, YouGov itself did not identify a single determining factor for this loneliness, quote unquote, epidemic, but they did identify a link to social media, citing a study from the University of Pennsylvania that found a link between social media and decreased well-being. Also, I can tell you from my own research as well, when I've written articles, when we are looking at it, we now have some longitudinal studies on social media, places like Facebook, where we have seen since about 2010, 2011, the rate in young adults, those children 18 to 17, depression, suicidal thoughts, self-harm, and all of that, they tick up for boys during that age period, and they've shot up for girls with the adoption of social media. And so I think this is driving a good part of this. Now, one aspect of social media that has been pretty heavily documented is Instagram. It's actually been linked to what they are considering poor mental health, and basically Instagram, aka Facebook that owns Instagram, is actually pioneering removing the ability to remove likes. I've actually done videos on that for Facebook itself. They're piloting this in Australia and some other places, but this is the backdrop that we have today. I remember back to when I was a young adult, and this time we didn't have social media. We didn't have smartphones with cameras on them. That was just coming into its infancy. And so if I wanted to hang out with somebody, let's say after school, I'd actually have to hang out with them. I wouldn't just like text online or message or anything like that. Or I actually had to pick up a phone and call them, and at best, if my friend wanted to talk to me, he'd hit me up on my pager. So there you go. I just dated myself here. But that is the situation that we've got today. We can have friends online that we can communicate, we can confab with, and all of this, but there's something to be said about human interaction, being face to face with somebody. There's a certain amount of intimacy and emotional awareness that comes to that quite frankly we may be breeding out as we adopt more and more technology. I've seen personally just kids that have mobile phones and tablets and stuff like that. They want to use those, and they don't want to interact. Go to any restaurant and look around and look at the kids, and if the kids have mobile phones, they're not talking to mom and dad, they're not talking to their siblings or possibly their friends. And so I think that is something that we are going to have to combat and look at. Does this mean we have technology timeouts for our kids? Does this mean we have to figure out ways to socialize them when before we didn't have to figure those things out because all the kids would just play outside, and when it got dark, I knew I had to come home? These are things that we have to discuss and we have to talk about, because quite frankly, technology adoption, I believe, is a very specific driver of this. This is what we are, and we can also talk about the other things that we've got culturally coming up and all of that. But when we are looking specifically at loneliness, I think technology is making us more connected in the world, access to more information, good, bad, and ugly, but it is also disconnecting us in ways that I think are rather concerning. And here we are. We are going to continue to see a growth in depression and everything that's related to depression by virtue of the mass adoption of technology. And by 2020, if we have 34 billion devices on the planet, that says quite a bit. So take that for what it's worth, but that is your hopefully non-depressing and hopefully let's fix this news of your Friday. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.